There comes a moment in life when noise fades, when the distractions of the world grow dim, and a voice of truth cuts through the silence. Billy Graham, one of the most influential spiritual leaders of our time, left behind words that were not meant only for his generation, but for ours, and for every generation to come. His final message was not about fame, not about success, not about wealth. It was about the soul, about the heart, and about the direction humanity is heading. And today, you and I are standing face to face with that wake-up call. Billy Graham once said, "My home is in heaven. I'm just traveling through this world." That simple statement carried a power that shook millions of people awake. It was a reminder that everything we chase, everything we cling to, everything that we believe makes us important will eventually fade. The houses, the cars, the positions, the titles, they do not follow us beyond the grave. What remains is who we truly are. What remains is the condition of our soul. But the question is, are we awake enough to see it? Or have we allowed ourselves to fall asleep in comfort, in distraction, in the endless scrolling, consuming, comparing, competing? Billy Graham saw the dangers of a world addicted to itself. He knew the greatest tragedy wasn't poverty, or sickness, or even death. It was living life without purpose, without meaning, without God. His voice echoed like a warning bell. Humanity is sleepwalking, running faster and faster toward emptiness. And it is time to wake up. And maybe that's why you're here, listening right now. Because deep inside, you felt it too, that stirring, that quiet whisper that says, there must be more. You've chased after achievement, after approval, after recognition. But still, you feel the void. You wonder why happiness seems so fragile, why peace slips through your hands, why success still leaves you restless. Billy Graham's message was clear. You will never find fullness in what the world gives. You will only find it when you stop running from the truth. This is not just about religion. This is about life, about the reality that time is short, about the fact that none of us are guaranteed tomorrow. And yet we live as if the clock will never run out. We put off forgiveness. We put off love. We put off becoming the person we know we were meant to be. And one day, we wake up and realize we've run out of chances. Billy Graham's words were never meant to scare you. They were meant to ignite you, to shake you awake, to remind you that your life, yes, your life matters, that you were created with intention, that you have a calling beyond the rat race, beyond the endless pursuit of more. His voice pointed us back to the foundation we so easily forget. He was calling us back to what is eternal, unshakable, and real. Imagine for a moment that Billy Graham was standing in front of you right now. Imagine his eyes, steady, full of compassion, but burning with urgency. And he looks at you and says, do not waste your life. Do not waste your soul. This is your time to wake up. How would you respond? Would you shrug it off and return to distraction? Or would you let those words pierce you, stir you, move you to action? Because the truth is, every one of us has a choice to keep sleepwalking through life, chasing shadows, or to rise up, wake up, and live for what matters. And Billy Graham's final message is not just a call for humanity, it is a call for you. This is where our journey begins. Today, we are going to walk through the heart of his last inspiring message, not as history, not as old words from a man long gone, but as living truth that still speaks, a truth that has the power to realign your life, to sharpen your vision, to shake off the chains of fear and doubt, and to give you the courage to step into your true purpose. This is not just another video. This is an invitation, an awakening, a reminder that you were created for more. So, take a deep breath. Open your heart, because what you are about to hear is not simply the echo of a preacher's voice. It is a wake-up call to your very soul, and it begins now. Billy Graham often said that the greatest crisis facing humanity is not political, not economic, not even technological. It is spiritual. And if we are honest with ourselves, we can feel that truth. Because no matter how advanced our world becomes, no matter how connected we are by screens and networks, the human heart is still restless, still searching, still hungry for something more. Look around. We live in an age of endless distraction. Our days are filled with noise, notifications, constant updates, and a million voices competing for our attention. But when the lights go out, when the crowd is gone, when you're alone with your thoughts, you still feel the questions burning inside. Who am I? Why am I here? What is my purpose? Billy Graham's message pierced through that noise with clarity. He reminded us that humanity's deepest hunger is not for more information, not for more possessions, but for truth. And the truth is this: life is fragile, time is short, and eternity is real. The tragedy is not that life ends. It's that we spend so much of it asleep, ignoring what truly matters. Think about it. We chase after achievements, hoping they will give us identity. We build walls of success, hoping they will keep out insecurity. We collect followers, likes, and recognition, believing it will fill the emptiness inside. And yet, the emptiness remains. Why? Because no amount of external validation can heal the internal void of a soul that has forgotten its creator. Billy Graham said, "The greatest legacy one can pass on to one's children and grandchildren is not money or other material things accumulated in one's life, but rather a legacy of character and faith." That statement is more than wisdom. It is a warning. Because what are we truly leaving behind if all we pass on is stress, brokenness, or an obsession with things that don't last? Every generation has been tempted to believe that happiness lies in success, wealth, or power. But generation after generation has also discovered the same truth. None of it satisfies. And perhaps you felt that in your own life. Perhaps you've reached a goal you once thought would change everything, only to realize it wasn't enough. Perhaps you've held the trophy, signed the contract, or achieved the milestone, and yet, deep inside, you whispered, "Is this all there is?" Billy Graham's final message was a call to wake up from that illusion. He wanted us to understand that we are more than consumers, more than competitors, more than dreamers chasing the wind. You and I were created with eternal significance. The choices you make every single day echo far beyond your lifetime. Your integrity, your kindness, your faith, your courage, those are the things that ripple through eternity. And yet, how often do we exchange them for something temporary? We trade peace for anxiety because we are obsessed with performance. We trade joy for jealousy because we are consumed with comparison. We trade purpose for distraction because it feels easier than facing the truth. And slowly, without even noticing, we drift further and further from the life we were meant to live. Billy Graham refused to let us stay asleep in that drift. His words were a lifeline, pulling us back to what really matters. He reminded us that the human heart will always remain restless until it finds rest in something greater than itself. So let me ask you right now, what are you chasing? What are you building your life on? What are you allowing to define you? Because if it is not unshakable, if it is not eternal, then one day you will watch it crumble. And when that day comes, will you have something left that truly lasts? The wake-up call is not about guilt. It is about freedom. It is about realizing that you don't have to keep running on the treadmill of endless striving. You don't have to keep pretending to be someone you're not. You don't have to keep searching in places that will never satisfy. You were created for more. And that more begins when you realign your life with what truly matters. Billy Graham's last words to humanity weren't just a farewell. They were a reminder, a challenge, a call to courage. And in a world that is constantly trying to lull us back to sleep, his voice still echoes. Wake up, live with purpose, build your life on what lasts forever. And maybe, just maybe, that's why you're hearing this today. Because this isn't just history. This is personal. This is for you. There is a question Billy Graham often asked, a question that unsettled many but awakened countless more. If you were to die tonight, where would you spend eternity? At first, it sounds harsh, maybe even uncomfortable. But isn't it the question we spend most of our lives avoiding? We prepare for everything else. We prepare for exams. We prepare for careers. We prepare for retirement. But we rarely prepare for the one certainty of life, its end. And yet, Billy Graham knew that how we answer that question shapes not only our future, it shapes how we live right now. Because when you truly grasp the brevity of life, you stop wasting it. You stop living as though tomorrow is guaranteed. You stop chasing shadows and start investing in what matters most. Suddenly, forgiveness becomes urgent. Love becomes a priority. Integrity becomes non-negotiable. And purpose is no longer a luxury. It is the very reason you breathe. Billy Graham once said, "My one purpose in life is to help people find a personal relationship with God," which, I believe, comes through knowing Christ. Whether you share his exact faith or not, the message beneath his words remains universal. Life is not about how much you accumulate, but about who you become. Not about how high you climb, but about how deeply you love, not about how long you live, but about what you live for. Look at our world. Millions of people are more connected than ever before, yet loneliness is at an all-time high. We chase after connection but forget the foundation of true relationships: honesty, sacrifice, presence. We crave peace but fill our lives with chaos. We say we want meaning but drown ourselves in distractions. Isn't it time we asked ourselves, am I awake or am I just existing? Billy Graham was unafraid to confront that reality. He reminded us that the greatest tragedy is not death, it's a life lived without meaning. A life where you gain everything, but lose yourself. And maybe you've felt that ache. Maybe you've looked around and wondered, what is all of this really for? That question isn't a burden, it's a gift. It's your soul's way of whispering, wake up, there is more. Think about the stories we remember most. Not the people who lived for themselves, but the ones who gave, who sacrificed, who stood for truth even when it cost them. Those are the lives that leave ripples long after they're gone. Those are the legacies that endure. Billy Graham wasn't celebrated because he was famous. He was remembered because he was faithful to his purpose. And that's the same invitation extended to you, to live for something greater than yourself. But here's the challenge: we don't like slowing down long enough to face these truths. We drown them out with busyness. We silence them with entertainment. We tell ourselves, I'll figure it out later. But later is not promised. And that was at the heart of Billy Graham's final message. Stop waiting. Stop drifting. Stop believing the lie that you have endless time. Because the moment you wake up to life's brevity, you begin to live with urgency, and that urgency changes everything. Suddenly, the fight with your family doesn't seem worth holding on to. The bitterness you've carried for years doesn't seem worth the wait. The dreams you've been postponing no longer feel like someday goals. They feel like a now mission. Because when you know time is short, you live differently. You live awake. Billy Graham's message was never about fear. It was about freedom. Freedom from pretending. Freedom from chasing the wind. Freedom from living small, distracted lives. His voice urged us to lift our eyes higher, to live with eternity in mind, and to recognize that every moment we are given is a gift to be used with intention. So I'll ask you what Billy Graham asked millions. If you were to die tonight, what would matter? What would remain? What would define your story? Let those questions stir you, not to paralyze you, not to crush you, but to awaken you. Because the very fact that you are hearing these words means your story is not over. You still have time. You still have purpose. You still have a reason to rise. To forgive. To love. To live. This is your wake-up call. Billy Graham often reminded us that life is not measured by its length, but by its depth. And depth comes from living with clarity, from knowing who you are, and from choosing to invest in what cannot be taken away. But here's the truth. Many of us spend years climbing ladders only to realize they were leaning against the wrong wall. We fight for recognition, sacrifice peace for progress, and chase applause, only to end up empty. We convince ourselves that success will bring freedom, but so often it brings heavier chains. More money, more stress, more fame, more pressure, more possessions, more fear of losing them. Billy Graham knew this. He saw it not only in the lives of the wealthy and powerful, but also in everyday people chasing the next promotion, the next relationship, the next distraction. And he challenged us to ask, what are you really living for? When you live for applause, your life is fragile because applause fades. When you live for money, your life is fragile because wealth slips away. When you live for beauty, your life is fragile because time always wins. But when you live for truth, when you live for love, when you live for something eternal, your life becomes unshakable. Billy Graham once said, "The greatest waste in all of our earth is our waste of the time God has given us each day." That hits hard. Doesn't it? Because if we're honest, so many of us live distracted, half-awake lives. We waste hours scrolling, comparing, and worrying about things that will not matter 5 years from now. And while we waste, time quietly slips through our hands. But what if you lived differently? What if, starting today, you chose to wake up with intention? What if every day became an opportunity to love deeply, to grow fully, to give generously, to live courageously? Imagine the kind of impact that life would leave. Imagine the legacy you would pass on. And maybe that's the wake-up call you need right now, to realize that life is not waiting for you. It is happening right now. And every choice you make is shaping who you are becoming. Billy Graham wanted us to see that clearly, to stop drifting and start deciding. Because life is not meant to be endured. It is meant to be lived with passion and purpose. Think about this. The people who changed the world weren't the ones who waited for perfect circumstances. They weren't the ones who blended in and stayed comfortable. They were the ones who woke up, who recognized their time was short, and who dared to live fully. That same potential is inside of you. You don't have to be Billy Graham. You don't have to be famous, rich, or powerful. You just have to be awake, intentional, and courageous. And yet, so many of us hesitate. We wait for a better time. We wait until we feel ready. We wait until fear is gone. But Billy Graham's voice calls through the years. Do not wait. Life is too short. Step into your purpose now. So let me ask you, what is the purpose you've been putting off? What is the dream you've silenced because of fear? What is the step you know you need to take, but haven't had the courage to begin? This is your moment. Not tomorrow. Not next year. Now. Because the wake-up call isn't just about eternity. It's about today. It's about realizing that how you live now shapes everything. It shapes your relationships. It shapes your peace. It shapes your legacy. It shapes the very atmosphere of your life. Billy Graham's last inspiring message wasn't simply about preparing for death. It was about learning how to truly live. And that's the call that still echoes today. Live with depth. Live with intention. Live with eternity in mind. This isn't just inspiration, it's direction. And the moment you embrace it, everything changes. Billy Graham often said, when wealth is lost, nothing is lost. When health is lost, something is lost. When character is lost, all is lost. Those words cut deep because they reveal what truly matters. And yet, so often, we sacrifice character for convenience. We compromise integrity for opportunity. We trade truth for comfort. But what if the very things we're clinging to are the things holding us back? What if the greatest enemy to your growth isn't failure, but distraction? What if the real danger isn't what you lose? It's what you never become. Billy Graham knew that the greatest battle we fight is not external, it's internal. It's the battle between who we are and who we could be, between our fears and our faith, between settling for comfort and stepping into courage. And he urged us not to waste our lives living small, distracted, compromised versions of ourselves. Think about it. When history remembers a life, it doesn't remember the clothes they wore or the cars they drove. It remembers the choices they made. Did they stand for truth when it was unpopular? Did they love when it was inconvenient? Did they give when it cost them something? Those are the lives that echo through eternity. And you have that same opportunity right now to live in such a way that your story matters. But here's the challenge. Our world constantly tells us the opposite. It tells us that comfort is the goal, that safety is success, that pleasure is purpose. But Billy Graham's voice cut through that illusion. Life is not about escaping struggle, it's about finding meaning in the middle of it. Because it's in the struggle that character is forged. It's in the fire that faith is strengthened. It's in the storms that true courage is revealed. Maybe you're walking through a storm right now. Maybe you feel lost, broken, or exhausted. And maybe you've even wondered if your life has any significance at all. If so, let this be a reminder. Billy Graham's message was not just for the strong. It was for the weary. It was for the ones who doubted. It was for the ones who felt like giving up. He wanted you to know that no matter how far you've fallen, no matter how much you've failed, no matter how heavy the burden feels, you are not finished. You are not forgotten. You still have purpose. That is the power of this wake-up call. It is not a call to the perfect, it is a call to the willing, to those who are ready to stop running, stop pretending, stop drifting and start living with clarity, courage, and conviction. Imagine, for a moment, if you lived every day with the awareness that time is short. Imagine if you forgave faster, loved deeper, risked greater, and lived freer. Imagine the impact that kind of life would have not only on you, but on everyone around you, your family, your friends, your community. Because when one person wakes up, it creates a ripple effect that changes everything. Billy Graham's last message was not only personal, it was global. It was a call for humanity to rise from its slumber, to stop numbing itself with distractions, to recognize that the answers we seek are not found in more, but in meaning, that the hope we crave is not found in possessions, but in purpose, that the peace we long for is not found in control, but in surrender. This is the message that still echoes today. Wake up. Your life is too valuable to waste. Your time is too short to spend asleep. Your calling is too important to ignore. So ask yourself, what will you do with the time you have left? Will you drift through it, clinging to shadows? Or will you rise and live fully awake? The choice is yours. But remember this, every day you delay is a day you never get back. And that was Billy Graham's plea to us all. Don't wait. Don't waste. Don't sleep through the miracle of life. Because the moment you wake up is the moment your life truly begins. Billy Graham's last inspiring message to humanity was never meant to be just remembered. It was meant to be lived. It was not a farewell, it was a challenge, a call to awaken, to rise, to step into the life you were created for. He reminded us that our greatest need is not more years, but more depth in the years we are given. That the measure of our lives is not in the trophies we collect, but in the impact we leave behind. That the value of our existence is not in what we keep, but in what we give. And maybe that's what makes his message so timeless. Because every generation needs to be reminded, life is short, time is fragile, eternity is real, but hope is greater, purpose is stronger, love is eternal. Billy Graham lived his life not for applause, not for wealth, not for comfort, but for calling. And that same calling whispers to you today. It's a whisper that says you are not here by accident, that your story matters, that your struggles can become strength, that your life, no matter where you've been, can still become a light that leads others home. The truth is, you don't have to be a preacher to change lives. You don't have to stand on a stage to make an impact. You don't have to have it all figured out to live with purpose. All you have to do is wake up to live intentionally, love unconditionally, and walk with integrity. To choose every day to live for what lasts. So as you hear this message, let it stir something inside you. Let it move you beyond passive listening and into courageous action. Forgive the person you've been holding bitterness against. Speak the words of encouragement you've been holding back. Take the step toward the dream you've been too afraid to pursue. Love the people in your life as if time is short, because it is. Billy Graham's voice may no longer echo in stadiums, but it echoes still in hearts, in lives, in every soul that dares to wake up and live differently. And today, that echo reaches you. This is not the end. This is the beginning of a life lived with clarity, urgency, and passion. The beginning of you stepping fully into your purpose. The beginning of a ripple effect that can touch generations to come. So take this moment as more than inspiration. Take it as a wake-up call. A call to stop wasting time. A call to stop living small. A call to rise. To live awake. To live free. To live with a fire that cannot be put out. Because when you live that way, you honor the legacy of voices like Billy Graham. But more than that, you write your own legacy. A legacy of love. A legacy of truth. A legacy that will outlast you. So now, the choice is in your hands. Will you return to distraction? Or will you rise to purpose? Will you drift through life? Or will you live fully awake? Billy Graham's last inspiring message to humanity still speaks. Wake up. Live for what matters. And never forget you were created for more. The question is, will you answer the call?